Right, for this section, I'm going to show you how to use the Aleks graphing calculator to find the vertex and the x-intercepts of a quadratic function. So we're going to click on the calculator, and then we're going to type in whatever equation is there. So negative 4x, and then this x to the y is how you do the power. So squared, and then make sure you arrow to the right so that you come back down out of the power. And then minus 6x plus 1. So once you have your equation typed in, we're going to press the graph button. Okay. And then if you can't see it, you would select your zoom, and then you would either zoom in or out. So if we wanted to, since we're a little far away, I could actually zoom in on this one if we want to. So notice how it's getting bigger, or we can just leave it how it was. And if you do zoom and you get to a place where it's not a good window, you can just click the reset zoom and it will take you back to the standard window. So it doesn't matter which part we find first, because finding one doesn't change where the other pieces are at. So if we just start with the vertex, we have to decide if this is a minimum or a maximum. So anytime it opens down like this, it's going to be a maximum because it's sitting at the top of the graph. And then when it opens the other way, so if it's opening up, the vertex is at the bottom, and that would be the minimum. Okay. So whether we're trying to find the max or the min, we are going to click on Extrema. Okay. And then we have to move these lines so that the vertex is in the middle. So you can either use your mouse to adjust it. So notice how the X is changing. Or if you want, you can just type in your number. So I'm gonna leave this one there, and then it's a little more difficult for me to grab this second one just because of where that arrow ended up on my graph. So for this one, I'm gonna type in, and I'm gonna move it a little bit closer. So I'm gonna change this to be a 0, and then you do need to click out of it so that way it moves. So my vertex is in between those two lines, so I'm gonna click Find Extrema. So we want to make sure that we're using the maximum, so that's this point up here, or when we're looking at this x and y value. Okay, so we want to again make sure that we're using the max. And then for this problem, it says round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. So I would have negative 0.75 for the x, and then 3.25 for the y. And if we did have to round, you want to make sure that you're following the correct rounding rules. Otherwise, it's going to mark your answer as incorrect. Okay. All right, so now back to the x-intercepts. So I'm going to click OK to get out of that screen. And remember, our vocabulary term for x-intercept is 0. So I'm going to press on the 0 key to calculate one of them. So again, whichever 0 you're trying to find has to be in between these dotted blue lines. So looking at that, if I'm finding this 0 right here with where it's set, that would be okay. So I can just click Find 0. Okay. And then we are only listing the x part because our y value should always be 0 at an x-intercept. So if we round to the nearest hundredth, this will be 0.15. And then since I have a second one, I'm going to do a comma. And then now I need to move my blue line so that this 0 is going to be in between them. So this time I'm going to type. So I'm going to pick negative 3. And for my right bound, let's do negative 1. Oops. So, what is happening? Okay, so for some reason my line didn't move, but because I typed it incorrectly, it was able to still calculate the 0 here. So this point showed up, so I know that my answer is correct. So this is going to be negative 0.3, oops, sorry, looking at the wrong number here, down here. negative 1.65 for the 0. Another problem, again, we just go to our calculator, and then we want to type in, or click on the y equals to type in the equation that we're given. So negative 4, and then x squared plus 2x plus 4, and then we're clicking on graph to see it. So this time I'm going to start by finding the x-intercepts. So I'm going to click on 0. And again, I'm trying to make sure that this 0 is in between the blue lines. So I'm going to move my right bound a little bit closer. So I'm going to pick 0 for this one. Okay, and then I'm just pressing find 0. So if we round, this will be negative 0.78, comma. And then to find my next one, so let's do 0 for the left bound, and then 2 for the right bound. Okay. And then find 0. So again, I'm picking these numbers so that this is in between them. So I'm just using the whole numbers on the graph to pick that. And then this will be 1.28. And then now we have to find the vertex. So I'm just clicking OK to go out of this. And then we're doing Extrema next. And my vertex is already in between the lines, so I don't need to change these numbers. So I'm just going to click Find Extrema. And then we need to make sure that we're using the max down here because our vertex is a maximum. So we want to use this point that it's showing. So this will be at 0.25 and 4.25.